Good morning, everyone. I'm Mrs. Klein from Two Rivers High School, and I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Career Expo Committee. This year, we're doing Career Expo a little different. Usually, we'd go out to LTC with all of our sophomores, and you'd break out into groups and visit with the individuals that we're going to be talking with today. So this year, we're doing it virtual, and today I have with me Kathy Green and Rayanne Thomas. And this is the session on hospitality and tourism. And they're going to start out by talking about themselves and how they got into the position they're in. And then we will ask some questions. If anyone has questions out there in the audience, you can throw them in the chat and I will try and answer them. So I think we'll start out with Kathy. So Kathy, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. It's good to talk to you all today. My name's Kathy Green. I'm the executive director at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum here in Manitowoc. Hopefully that's somewhere you all have been. Kind of the most frequent comment I get when I ask that question is, oh yeah, I went there when I was in school. So hopefully that's something you've been to as part of your school or with your family. But it's the State Maritime Museum. We've been around for 51 years. And we talk about not just the maritime history of the Manitowoc area, and also the history of the USS Cobia, which of course is the World War II submarine that is the flagship of the vessels we have at the museum. But we talk about the maritime history of the whole state and really of the Great Lakes. So as the director of the museum, that certainly is grounded in hospitality and tourism, but my background is more in history and archaeology as well as teaching. So, something I wanted to convey to you guys is, if there's a particular career you're interested in, there are many paths into that. What really helps, I think, is a strong grounding in, what's traditionally called a liberal arts education. So learning to speak, learning to communicate, learning to write, and kind of convey whatever you need to. And in my case, my career, I've been in this career for about 25 years in maritime history. It involves telling stories. It involves telling stories, whether it be a shipwreck or whether it be a historic port town. You're telling stories and relating those to the people who are using your resource or visiting your site. Again, I mentioned there are a number of different ways or influences that can bring you into a career. Before I led a museum, I worked for both federal and state agencies as a marine archaeologist, as an educator, and as a cultural resource manager and grant manager. So all of those different things are pieces of my job. So all those pieces include administering a good-sized nonprofit. It also includes knowing and interpreting the content of the artifacts and the stories that we're curating at the museum. So that's knowing about the topic, that's knowing about how to convey that topic to other people, and it's also about knowing how to care for the different artifacts in the collection. As you can imagine, as a history museum, we use things to be touchstones, I guess you could say, to tell those stories. So knowing how to conserve, stabilize, and maintain those for, indefinitely to make sure that nothing happens to them. But then also how to pair those with other artifacts, different stories. That's a big part of what I do. And there's a whole team of people who help with that. We have people who are curators and collections managers. Those are the folks who deal with the physical things. Because we have a good sized facility and we also have uh, a submarine, a boat, we have maintenance folks who help maintain um, the building. We have a large offsite storage facility, so there's a whole nother part of the museum that visitors don't see. And then, of course, the boat itself. And the reason we have such a beautifully restored and maintained boat is that we've had a long history of folks who have helped to restore that boat and who maintain it to this day, whether it's the hull, the outside of the boat that keeps the water out and all the historic artifacts in and dry, to the electrical systems, to the original radar and radios that were on the boat. They're all still there and they're all still operational. 2 of the 4 engines are still operational. And it's been the work of a huge group of people to make that happen. So volunteers have been the main contributors to the restoration of that boat and also the current maintenance of it. Certainly, we have regular staff who do that as well. But again, if you want a way to get into or to check out what it's like to work in a museum, volunteer. Volunteer on about the things that you're interested in. So if it's collections, if it's for us, for the submarine, or if it's visitor services. So visitor services can include things like being a tour guide, being a docent, that's somebody who shows people around the museum, being an educator. We do that formally with classrooms or informally with groups and families. Working at the front desk, so working the cash register, selling tickets, and then also working at the museum shop, the store itself. So if you're interested in some kind of retail experience, that's part of being at that front desk, part of visitor services. We also have, while we don't have a full restaurant or anything like that, we have an awful lot of events. So as far as hospitality goes, we have many, many catered events throughout the year. So we have someone who oversees all those rental events, coordinates with caterers, and gets things set up, take up tables, put down tables. We also have a roof deck that in the summer is busy pretty much every night as a riverfront venue to listen to music, to have a cold drink, things like that. So even though we're a museum, we kind of have a lot of those hospitality aspects that you would have if you were a hotel or if you were any other kind of entertainment venue. What else, Lisa, can I tell these folks?
Well, I'm looking at our time and I'm thinking maybe it's time to give Rayanne an opportunity to share all of her information since you've shared so much about Maritime. It's very interesting to me. I hope everyone else is finding it interesting. So I'm going to turn it over to Rayanne for now and we'll come back.
Excellent.
Hi, Rayanne.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I just have to say thank you to Kathy Green over at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. My role with the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau is as the sales manager. Having that attraction in our community is huge. It's a huge selling point. Everyone wants to make that their stop when they're here. And I know the partnership that we have at the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau with the Wisconsin Maritime Museum has been wonderful. So it's great to, before getting into what I do, just have that partnership. So thank you for that, Kathy, and everyone at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. So again, I'm Rayanne Thomas with the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau. I'm the sales manager there. I've been in my role for about 1.5 years, very new to the hospitality tourism industry. I actually landed this job by my connection. I was an ambassador for the Manitowoc County Chamber and got to know the executive director, Jason Ring, at the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau, and that's how I got my job. So when you talk about volunteer work and different things that you can do throughout your community, just being part of the Manitowoc County Chamber has, given me this opportunity. And I have to tell you, I've been loving every minute, every day of it. I have a great team that I work with. Again, Jason Ring, the executive director, Lori Wanden, who's our office manager, who's been wonderful in the transition, along with the visitor center coordinator, Charlene. So we have a very small team at our office, but we work very well together. And my role as the sales manager is to work with all of our local partners at the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau, anywhere from restaurants to attractions. And I work with meeting groups, convention planners, motor coach planners, special events, so softball tournaments, hockey tournaments, beach soccer, beach volleyball, any of those type of events that you've seen kind of happening in the community, there's visitors coming in. Those are things that I'm going to coordinate with those visitors on where they're going to stay. So getting them hotel rooms, showing them and highlighting our wonderful attractions at our community. I work with what I call a profile sheet, a little hard to see here, but it kind of highlights the different things that we have in our community, and it kind of, you can make their experience in our community even better by offering those things and kind of just being that resource to them. So I pretty much meet with groups, find out what they're looking for, and then, send them in that direction. A day-to-day, what kind of how my day works is I might be in the office, working a normal 8 to 5, and making phone calls, sending out emails, following up with those groups, those planners, and getting them to come to our community and really kind of seeing what we have, highlighting all of those wonderful experiences. It might be going to the RAR West Art Museum. It might be going to the Farm Wisconsin Discovery Center, checking out the Mariners Trail, eating at one of our newest restaurants, Bricks, maybe having a dinner, a supper club experience at Mahoots. It might be showing them West of the Lake Gardens, some of our new murals, experiencing our beaches. So it's crazy that we have all of this stuff right in our backyard and we take it for granted every day. And when I have visitors coming to this area and they see what we have, they're completely and totally sold once I show them that. The challenge is getting them here. So my job requires me to get out there. And when I say get out there, travel, go to trade shows throughout the United States. This last year, I attended a conference in French Lick, Indiana. I have one coming up in Panama City Beach, Florida. I might be going to Cheyenne, Wyoming later this year, Kansas City, Colorado Springs. And what I do when I get to those trade shows is I meet with people that are interested in bringing groups all over the United States and selling our community and making them want to come here. Obviously, this last year, 2020, has been quite challenging when it comes to that, but I can tell you that 2021 is looking great. And I'm excited about that. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love being able to sell this community. I know one of the questions was college degree, high school requirements, things like that. I would strongly encourage any type of business management. You could go to a tech school. My role is unique in the hospitality industry is I'm pretty much selling everything in our wonderful community and, working and partnering with those individuals has just been a great experience. And it just kind of goes back to, you don't really know what you have in our community until you've done something like this. I agree with Kathy. I think that the volunteer work, get out in your community, see what they have to offer, whatever it may be. Our organization is also not-for-profit. You know, our budget comes from pretty much room tax. So volunteers are huge for us. We're responsible for the manning the car ferry. So the dock that when they come in and visitors don't know where to go eat or don't know where to go stay. And, you know, we man that every day, but they're in operation. We have a visitor coordinator down there, most likely a volunteer. This last year we did that because we didn't have any volunteers. Our organization actually has over 40 volunteers. So when I talk about the 3 full-time staff members and the 2 part-time staff members that we have 40 volunteers that makes our organization happen. We're located right on the corner of Calumet, right behind KFC. It's a wonderful, wonderful building. You should stop in and check it out. We have information for all throughout the United States, or I'm sorry, all through Wisconsin is our highlighted areas. And all of the attractions, restaurants, anything that you can think of, lodging options in Manitowoc County. Let's see if I missed anything. I know, you know, my favorite part about the job is probably the travel. When it comes to, you know, being able to experience different communities and see, you know, just meeting new people and bringing them back here and being able to, you know, highlight our beautiful communities. So that's a little bit about the Manitowoc Area Visitor and Convention Bureau and what I do as a sales manager.
Thanks, Rayanne. Well, I'd like to add another piece if I can. You both have provided some great information. Many students, when they hear hospitality and tourism, they think the hotel industry or the restaurant industry. So I'd like to just add a little tidbit in there for you students. And that's, I ran a bed and breakfast in the city of Manitowoc for a number of years. And I was in charge of everything that happened in that facility. So maintenance, greeting my customers and my, for my lodging, cooking their meals, shopping, bookkeeping, making sales calls if I might have, a variety of things that occurred in my bed and breakfast I was responsible for. So just a little tidbit there. I see that we're running a little tight on time. So I wanted to find out if there were any students that had questions. If you want to put something in the chat, if you have a question. If you're not sure how to get to the chat, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's a little section that says more, and there's 3 little buttons you can press on there and the chat box comes up and you can just chat in there. If you have any questions, since we have a couple of people online live with us, do we have any questions? How about a thumbs up or a thumbs down from those of you that are out there? It looks like somebody is typing, so I'm going to wait a minute. Kathy or Rayanne, is there anything that you would like to add to our discussion today?
Just that at the museum, a number of the folks on staff or some of our part-time staff were, and some of them still are, high school students right here in Manitowoc and Two Rivers. So again, starting out as a volunteer or working a couple hours a week at our front desk is a great way to find out more of if this kind of careers for you.
Rayanne, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just kind of the same thing, you know, really the volunteer work I think is key to kind of get to see and, you know, maybe take an internship within an organization and see if it's kind of the job for you, especially as sophomores or juniors, whatever age is watching this video. You know, just think about, you know, what you want to do. And, you know, it's best to try it when you're young and see if it's something that you really want to try before, you know, pursuing education into, you know, but realistically, like I said, you know, just a business background, there's so many different directions that you could go. You know, just kind of thinking about, you know, I would have never thought I'd be in this position, you know, at the age that I'm at and with the experience and education, you know, that kind of brought me here. So you just never know which direction you're going to end up going unless you try it.
Exactly. And I like, Kathy, that you mentioned volunteering. Students volunteering can get you some excellent experience. And as you can see from what Rayanne had to say, it can get you networking and leads to jobs. So many schools have volunteer requirements. This is a perfect opportunity to get out there and get your feet wet and find out if hospitality and tourism is an area that you're interested in. So with that, I don't see any questions in the chat. I'm going to close us up, I think. Any thoughts?
Just thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming, Kathy and Rayanne. We appreciate you taking your time from your day. And our young students that are out there, thank you for listening in. If you have any questions, you can direct them to the Chamber of Commerce or myself. I have an email at Two Rivers High School if you're interested in that. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You all too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.